So when people eat the game meat that I make, that I cook with, I've never had anyone say that my game meat is gamey. That's usually the biggest gripe with game meat. It's gamey. It's got like this very earthy taste that's unpalatable for a lot of people. I think that the biggest contributor for that is number one is not aging or hanging it. Although you'll have people say, I don't hang it and my stuff's not gamey, but I would argue that they're just used to that way. But when somebody that doesn't eat game meat, they eat it, then it's like, whoa, that's gamey. They're just used to it. The way that I do it, by hanging it for a certain amount of times, and the smaller the animal, the less it needs to hang. The larger the animal, the more it needs to hang, then the less gamey it becomes, and there's more flavor that develops. The texture is better because it breaks down, like the enzymes help break down the meat, especially these big bulls, like big bull moose or big bull elks, when they get so old and tough. Hanging them really lets that muscle cure and start to relax and tenderize. Well, hanging it does two things. It breaks down the muscle. Like, it doesn't relax the muscle, it just breaks down muscle fibers. Like, the enzymes just break down those tissues that become, and those tissues are a lot of the time what make that, like, it's gaminess isn't even just a distinct like aroma or flavor. It's like the entire experience of eating wild game. Like, it's the tenderness, or the lack of tenderness. It's the smell it has. It's the flavor. It's, all those things compiled, a bunch of contributing factors, and then the aging and hanging it lets it just dissipates that from it. That's one thing. That's one thing that gets rid of gaminess. The other thing that gets rid of gaminess is cooling down your animal as fast as you can. As soon as you kill the animal, you got to get it cooled off as cold and fast as possible, especially in the fall. Luckily today it's been a cool day, so it's not that big of a deal, but it's not as big of a deal, I should say. But the first thing, as soon as you've butchered it, is to cool it down. So that's field dress it, like harvest the innards, the guts, and then skinning, like getting rid of the hide, taking the hide off so it can cool down to a fridge temperature as fast as possible. That's super, super important. The longer that it kind of stays at that body temperature, the worse your meat's gonna, like, by the minute, the worse your meat becomes, almost.
Why is that?
Just heat and hot blood inside of meat. Hot blood just tends to have, give parts that gamey flavor. It's a souring. It's an expiry aspect.
Okay.
So it's the aspect of the meat just becomes literally more contaminated.
Okay.
Right?
With
blood. Yeah. So the third thing, is if you haven't made a clean vital shot to the heart, or like a vital, like an artery, then you need to cut an artery manually in the neck to drain any excess blood. You want to expel it as fast as you can. So if you shoot it in the heart, it'll automatically bleed out. But if that doesn't happen, you have to cut the artery in the neck to drain out the blood. Again, you gotta get it drained from all the veins, capillaries, arteries, and all the meat sources. Like, you gotta just drain it. And then that's also why you hang it, back to hanging it. But hanging it lets drip out a little bit extra, it just creates a really clean meat by doing that. So that's
do you think there's hunters who don't bleed out their animals?
Yeah, and it tastes terrible.
Really? So
you'll know, dude. One day, now that you've done this, and you will meet other hunters now in your life, and you'll go through another wild game experience, and it probably won't be the same. Or it might be, and they've done things, probably what I would consider the right way. And there's compromises people make all the time. Well, this time it's November, it's colder out, I don't need to cool it all, I don't need to skin it so fast. When you start making little concessions, it's just when, like, I wonder why the elk wasn't as good this time as it was in 2018 when we got that one, right? And it's just those little decisions you make that I feel like, play into the end result. You know what I mean? And so those are big. Those are massive, very basic beginner fundamental things that I think should never be compromised. Like, just do the extra little bit of work, take the extra time, be more diligent, be more professional about and respectful ultimately to the animal, because take its life, give it the respect it deserves, and do the proper steps to have a proper result.